Welcome to VHS Voyage, where you can join our journey to find, watch, and discuss movies on VHS we've never seen or never knew existed. I'm Matt.
I'm Devin.
And in today's episode, we're going to talk about
My Cousin Vinny.
All right, so today we're going to talk about My Cousin Vinny. Now, I want to start by saying this. My Cousin Vinny was actually recommended to us by Marcello over at GameCube Galaxy. If you guys like video games and you like the Nintendo GameCube, be sure and check his channel out because he has the best GameCube YouTube channel on the internet. And he is an Italian. So that's part of the reason why I assume he recommended this movie. Because it has a large cast of Italians in it. But he not only did he recommend it to us, he actually gifted me this particular copy. And if I remember correctly, it was factory sealed. So anyways, before we start talking about My Cousin Vinny, Devin, hit us with some facts and information, man.
But this is directed by Jonathan Lynn and written by Dale Launer. You want to go ahead and try to guess IMDb?
Okay, I'm going to say 7.
It's higher than that.
8.4.
7.6.
Okay, 7.6.
Rotten Tomatoes audience and critic.
All right, Rotten Tomatoes critic, I'm going to say 75.
It's even higher.
85.
87.
Okay, and then audience, I'm going to say 85 on audience.
It's 87 also.
Really?
So yeah.
That doesn't happen very often.
It's both. Yeah,
Nice.
It's both. It stars Joe Pesci, Marisa Tomei, Ralph Macchio, and Fred Gwynn.
Who is Fred?
That
Gwynn?
was the judge.
The judge. Okay.
But he was also Herman Munster on the original Munster show.
Oh shit!
He was just a lot older in this
Yeah,
movie.
okay.
So, yeah. The director of this movie, Jonathan Lynn, actually has a law degree, and this movie is actually praised among lawyers apparently, and they actually show it even at some law schools.
Really?
They show this movie.
Wow.
So yeah,
Nice.
that's interesting.
That is interesting.
There's a lot of accidental moments in this movie that were kept in, like when Joe Pesci knocks over the chessboard, and when Joe Pesci says "youths" instead of "youths."
Yeah.
That was actually something that kept happening on set, and the director was like, "What the hell are you saying?" And so he was like, they like threw it into the movie as like a joke.
That's funny.
Marisa Tomei did win the Oscar for this for Best Supporting Actress.
Nice.
So she won for this.
So what's My Cousin Vinny about? So essentially, you've got Ralph Macchio and his name is Bill and his friend Stan. They're driving through rural Alabama. I don't really know why they were driving through rural Alabama. I don't think the movie really said, but they're driving through rural Alabama. They stop at a gas station to get some snacks. They go in there, they load up on snacks, they pay, and they leave. As they're leaving, Ralph Macchio realizes, and this is an important detail, he realizes that he left a can of tuna in his jacket pocket that he forgot to pay for. Next thing you know, there's a police officer behind them following them. Police lights come on, siren comes on, police officer pulls them over. They're freaking out because they think they're getting pulled over because they accidentally stole a can of tuna. Police officer immediately pulls his gun out, commands them to get out of the vehicle, and they get arrested. So the gas station clerk that they paid for all the stuff for, he got murdered, he got shot to death. And apparently a lot of witnesses saw them leaving the scene of the crime in a vehicle very similar to theirs. So they got picked up for the crime. Now, the funny thing is, essentially, Ralph Macchio thought that the police officer interviewing him thought he was being arrested for the can of tuna, but the police officer was actually questioning him for the murder, but Ralph Macchio's character didn't realize that. So there was this kind of funny exchange between the two where they weren't on the same page, and it ended up sort of leading to Ralph Macchio kind of admitting to the murder. They go to jail in Alabama, no less. And one of the big things I like about this movie is the fact that you've got all these characters from New York, super Italian, super New York, and all the interactions they have with the different people in rural Alabama and the different situations. So where does the name My Cousin Vinny come into play? Well, while they're in jail, Ralph Macchio calls his mom and he's like, "Hey mom, we got arrested. We're being charged with murder. We need a lawyer." And so she's like, "I'll send your cousin Vinny down. He's a lawyer." And they're like, "Great."
He's not a good lawyer. He's like never done anything.
Yeah.
What's that bar exam?
Yeah. So it took him like 6 years to pass the bar exam.
Yeah, he's never even done like a petty crime, nothing.
So Vinny comes to town and like Devin said, Vinny is actually a personal injury lawyer. He's not a trial lawyer. He's only practiced for 6 weeks. It took him 6 years to pass the bar exam and 6 times to pass it. So he's not a very good lawyer when it comes to like procedure and things like that, right? So he comes down, and this is when it gets to one of my favorite scenes in the movie, or one of what I thought was one of the funniest scenes in the movie. So Bill and Stan are in this rural Alabama jail, and they're worried that they're gonna get, well, I don't want to say the word because okay, Devin said the word, so I guess it's too late now. They're worried they're gonna get ass in prison. Right?
Whoa, hold on. I used the scientific term.
Stan doesn't know Bill's cousin Vinny, and Bill's taking a nap. Next thing you know, Vinny shows up dressed in like a leather jacket, just looking like a gangster. He shows up in the jail cell with Stan. The guard lets him in the jail cell, closes the jail cell and locks it. And Stan's sitting there thinking he's going to get raped. And they have this hilarious exchange. You want to talk about the exchange?
Yeah, just the way everything is worded that Vinny says, it makes Stan think that gets on his knees and like gets down. And he's like talking about all this other stuff that makes Stan think he's about to be assaulted. Yeah,
exactly. So like a couple of my favorite lines from that. Vinny goes, I want this to be an in and out procedure. You can use your imagination on that one. And he also says, your ass is on the line here. And then he says, I didn't come down here to get jerked off.
Yeah.
So this is another one of those scenarios where one character, the characters are not talking about the same thing, and it just led to a very hilarious exchange. But eventually he figured it out.
What the fuck is your problem? I did not come down here just to get jerked off, you know.
No. I'm not jerking you off. I'm not doing anything.
I could literally recap the entire story of this movie because I took like 4 pages of notes. I took a lot of notes. But I don't want to give the whole movie away. I don't want to spoil everything. So I figured what we can do from here is talk about some of our favorite scenes, some of the stuff we like about the movie. So what do you got?
I just think Joe Pesci rules, bro.
Yes, dude.
Bro, Joe Pesci's just the man. He's good in everything. He steals every movie. Doesn't matter what it is. Goodfellas, anything you watch with Joe Pesci, he's the best part. He just rules in this, bro.
Yeah.
And also Marisa Tomei is incredible too. Like I said, she won the Oscar. The courtroom monologues and details, like little tiny details written into these monologues, having to remember facts of information for the talking to the jury or whatever. To memorize those as an actor, and these 2 actors was just honestly extremely impressive, especially Marisa Tomei, because he's having to do the hard accent at the same time and all this stuff. I just thought the actors are really, really good in this.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like the acting was exceptional. And Joe Pesci, Joe Pesci and Marisa Tomei, their chemistry together on screen was excellent.
Yeah.
But Joe Pesci and Marisa Tomei, their interactions together were hilarious. One of my favorite interactions between those two. There's a running joke in the movie where every motel and hotel they stay at, they get woken up early in the morning by a really loud sound. So the first hotel, it was a loud whistle at a factory at 5 in the morning. Then they move to another one and they get woken up by a bunch of loud farm animals. Then they move to another one, they get woken up by a really loud train. And then eventually they move to a cabin in the middle of the woods, and there's a really loud owl, but by the end, Joe Pesci's character is so exhausted he just sleeps through it. So there's kind of a running joke.
What the fuck is that?
Joe Pesci is very sleep deprived throughout the whole movie. And there's one scene where they're in the motel, they're working on some stuff, and the sink is dripping, drip, drip, drip. And Joe Pesci goes off about it, and him and Marisa Tomei have this argument about it, and then it turns into this weird sexual thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming they bang after that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Joe Pesci's clapping those cheeks, dude.
Well, they're engaged in the movie.
I know.
Unless they're waiting for marriage.
Dude, Joe Pesci's clapping Marisa Tomei's cheeks in real life.
Also, that scene foreshadows a little bit. She's like spits off all this information about sinks, which is kind of foreshadowing later that she's just full of information, and she's got like these little tidbits of information in her mind.
You will see that this particular model faucet requires a range of 10 to 16 foot-pounds of torque. I routinely twist maximum allowable torquage.
And then Vinny doesn't really know how the pleading process works, because the judge simply asks him, are they guilty or are they not guilty? And instead of just simply answering that question, he just keeps saying everything else but that, trying to explain what happened, and eventually he gets held in contempt of court. And the reason I bring that up is because it leads to a very entertaining interaction. So he gets held in contempt, $200 bail. So Marisa Tomei, her name's Lisa in the movie, she has to get the money to bail him out of jail, and she ends up getting stiffed by this local at a bar. They play a game of pool. He takes her money, or she wins, he doesn't pay her. So there's this really entertaining interaction where Vinny goes to this bar to try to get the money, and this dude's like twice his height, right? But because Vinny's from New York, he's Italian, he comes across super confident, and he's a smooth talker, and you could tell that this guy wasn't quite sure how to handle this situation, you know what I mean? So a lot of interactions like that were a lot of fun. What's some interactions with Vinny and other people that you liked?
I like Vinny learning about grits.
Dude, yes.
Because we know what grits are.
Right.
You know, we grew up in the South, so we know what grits are. And I guess it never really crossed my mind that some people don't know what grits are.
Right.
And actually, if you've never ate grits, you probably would think they're gross when you see them. It's just like a big lump of nothing and moisture on your plate.
Yep.
Even though they're really good. But I like the interaction where he's learning about grits, and he's pretty much being forced to eat at this diner.
You never heard of grits?
Sure, I heard of grits. I just actually never seen a grit before.
And that was an important interaction because of him learning about grits. It enabled him to question a witness later on and use how long it takes to cook grits to destroy the witness's credibility.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Also, I like when he's interacting with the guy at the diner about grits. He opens the menu and there's not things to pick. It's just like breakfast, lunch, dinner. Which is normal. That's I get that.
So the guy I mentioned earlier that stiffed Lisa for $200, Vinny has multiple interactions with this guy as he's trying to get that money back. And eventually later in the movie, he's had enough. He's pressed for time because he's late for court, and he's had a rough night, and the guy has the money because the bet, Vinny made a new bet. If Vinny can kick his ass, he gets the $200. So Vinny just walks up to the guy and decks him in the face. But the funny thing about it is Joe Pesci is so short that he has to jump up in the air to punch the dude in the face.
Superman punches him.
Yeah, he does. He Superman punches him.
You gonna kick the shit out of me now?
I also love how Vinny interacts with people in the courtroom. So like whenever the DA prosecutor was making his opening statement to the jury, Vinny was asleep because he's so sleep deprived, and Bill or Stan like nudges him to wake up, and he says his opening statement his opening statement was simply, everything that guy just said was bullshit. And that was his opening statement.
Yeah, also, with him being sleep deprived, I don't know if you noticed this, but when he was out of focus in the background, it was a whole nother character having a scene. If you looked closely in the background, he would be falling asleep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like out of focus in the shot. His like head would be like slamming into the table and stuff, and it was really funny.
Nice.
I just kept noticing him like dozing off in the background of scenes and stuff, so that was funny.
That's a good detail. Well, dude, what is it with movies we watch on VHS Voyage having awesome courtroom scenes?
Yeah, courtroom scenes are definitely a real thing.
Dude, I'm telling you, at some point we're going to be making a video of like best courtroom scenes.
Yeah.
So because Vinny makes some mistakes in the beginning and he's unsure of himself, Bill and Stan are starting to lean towards hiring a public defender, a court-appointed attorney. And there's another funny scene in the movie. So basically, Vinny and his court-appointed attorney go back and forth questioning some of the witnesses because Bill and Stan aren't sure who they're going to go with. And his court-appointed attorney is so nervous that he just like stutters the whole time, and
it's really funny too. Like this guy just kills this scene.
Yeah,
I love that scene.
Yeah, he's like spitting and stuttering, and he can't get his words out, and he's just terrible.
Yeah,
he's just so terrible.
Of the jury.
Cinematography, I didn't really notice any like really. I mean, it was not bad cinematography.
No.
It was just kind of run of the mill, basic stuff.
Right.
Because a movie like this, you don't really need super good.
No,
cinematography.
it's character and dialogue and actor driven for sure.
Exactly. I laughed. I found myself like on the inside just cheering for Joe Pesci's character, like just cheering for him to win this thing. And you know, the final act of the movie was just incredibly satisfying.
Yes.
Because he had all the odds stacked against him. Right. And it was just incredibly satisfying to see him just destroy these witnesses, destroy the DA's case with the help of his girlfriend, and ultimately get Bill and Stan off. And find the true perpetrators. Whoa. No. That was earlier in the movie in the prison scene. Final words on My Cousin Vinny.
It's really good. It's fun, and it's not a comedy that relies on bad language or vulgar humor or anything like that. It's actually funny.
Marcello, again, dude, you knocked it out of the park with this recommendation. Obviously, this is a keep it.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely a keep it. And this is a movie that I highly recommend all you guys watch. That's it for today's episode of VHS Voyage on My Cousin Vinny. I'm Matt.
I'm Devin.
We'll catch you guys in the next one.